Okay, so uh, like I said, today's topic is transform your sales team into a massive revenue producing entity or a team, right? And for us to be able to get performance out of somebody, whether it's an individual, family member, a team member, or in this case, somebody responsible for the revenue producing, we really have to focus on two things. The two things that we have to focus on are uh, give them what they need and give them what they want, right? Give them what they need to succeed in order to do their job, and give them what they want in order to for them to feel like, hey, you know what, I want to do my job the right way. So we'll get started right now. And one of the things that I always promise is, the information that I share is always relevant, timely, and valuable, especially in this day and age. And we're starting out in 2021. There's something that I have to get off my chest before we get on with this part. Okay, the first is, yes, it's fantastic. We're in 2021. It's a brand new year. We get our mind right. Okay, but with the pandemic situation, with the lockdowns and everything, some are getting worse, some are getting better. Whatever the case is, nothing changes just because it changed from 31st December to the 1st of January. All it is a label in our mind. So we cannot say that, oh, you know what, it's going to be, it's a new year, it's going to be better. It's not going to be better if you don't take the action, and it's not going to be better if you don't change and improve in a few things. I hope that makes sense, yeah? Okay, so when we talk about improving, we'll talk about what they need and what they want. All right. The first thing, what they need is, or what they need and they want is really two things. Okay. We're talking about skill set and we're talking about mindset. So what is skill set and what is mindset? Right. Skill set is the tools, the tools, right, that we use in our profession, in our business, that make us stand out, that make us, that's part of our job. If you were a carpenter, it would be your saw and hammer and nails. If you're a mechanic, it'd be your screwdriver, your wrench. If you're a baker, it'd be your rolling pin, your oven, your flavorings. Uh, if you're a sales professional, it would be how you cold call, how you handle objections, um, how you close, how you follow up, the skills that you have in those areas, and what are the what are the what are the tools, platforms, systems, techniques, and strategies that you need to have as part of your tool set or your skill set in order to not only do your job but also to be highly successful. Okay, then you have your mindset. Your mindset is how you think, how you behave, your habits, your goals. The mindset, you see. Okay, in business and in sales and in business, right, we get a lot of challenges, right? I mean, that's just part of the game. That's why we get rewarded so well, right? So, but when we have these things, we're also dealing with, persuading people. We're trying to, sell and market a service. So we're gonna face rejection, right? We're gonna face rejection, and rejection is very, uh, a lot of it can be quite, hurtful, demoralizing, whatever negative emotion that you want to think about, right? So mindset is what gets you to continue using your tools in order to fulfill your job and your responsibilities. So we'll talk about some basic things that we need to focus on the skill set and the mindset. We'll talk about skill set first. Okay. Uh, there's three things when we talk about skill set. There's really three things that we need to really implement. So these are the things that your sales team really, 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 really needs. Okay. The first is scripts. The second is systematic a systematic system of your sales process or their sales process, and the number three is the practice. All right. Let's talk about the scripts first. You know, I over the last 20 years, I've talked to a lot of business owners and sales people. Okay, and say, hey, do you use scripts? Oh no, we don't like to use scripts because it makes us sound like a robot. I need to like go with the flow. I need to wing it. I'm extremely flexible. And then I ask, okay, how's your results? Oh, I close this much. I'm inconsistent. You see, when I ask this question, a lot of sales professionals are resistant to using a script. The reason they feel that way is because they think that is going to limit them. I'm telling you, it doesn't. All right. And truth be told, if you think really, I mean, if you really really think about it, you are using a script. Everything that you're saying when you talk to your prospects is not something new coming out of your mouth at that moment. You said it, many different times. The only difference is your script is not written down, and in all probability, your script sucks. Okay, so don't think that scripts is going to make me sound like a robot. All right, um, think of your favorite movie, whatever that movie is. All right, uh, and the actors that play the roles in that movie, and then you get immersed in the storyline, in the plot, and all that stuff, right? Do you know that they're working from a script? Okay, the reason you don't realize that they're working from a script is because they got really good at making the script their own. I think actors call it method acting, where they immerse themselves in the character and they kind of become the character, right? And then now think of a movie that was really really bad. uh, Everything sounded robotic. um, the actors and actresses were stiff and they didn't know what to do, because that's because of the script and their interpretation of it. Okay, you need to think about this. You need to think about consistency. You need to think about professionalism. And so when you start thinking about those things, then you got to have a script. Now, I'm not saying that you got to read it for word every single time, but you got to build in and plan for the contingencies and the things that the prospect or your client is saying, right? So, what are the scripts that you need? Basically, the scripts that you need are for cold calling. For cold calling, right? How many of you or who's ever said, "Oh, I hate to cold call. Oh, when I'm so scared when the I'm dialing and I'm trembling, right? And I don't know what to say when the other person answers the line and says hello." And if you think about it, each time that you call someone, you're saying something just a little bit different. So you cannot track your progress. So of course, the first thing you got to have is your cold calling script, your appointment setting script, your first call script, your second call, your third call, your fourth call. Because some of the things that we sell, we cannot, just make one call and we get a result. We have to have a next step. So what do you say on the next step? All right. Then the other script that you need to have is you need to have your closing statements. How are you going to close? Most average salespeople will say things like, "Hey, so do you want to buy this? Hey, so what do you think?" And it's tired. Every average salesperson says that. All right. Try this. Okay. Try. Um, Hold on. Let me. Try this. Um, instead of just saying, Uh, it's a, hold on one second. Instead of just saying, hey, you know what? Do you want to buy this? Say something like, hey, you know what? You're gonna get when you choose me as your supplier, or choose me as your rep, whatever it is. When you choose this plan, you're gonna get benefit one, benefit two, benefit three. Okay, and would you like me to do this for you? All right, and the answer is very simple: is either yes or no, or hey, I have a question. Okay, so the way that you close, you need to get that written down as well. And think about this. As you're listening to me, think about this. Your the way that you follow up, is it effective, right? Uh, if it's not effective, and most salespeople have an ineffective follow-up process. In fact, a study was done in 2019. In 2019, and I think the number is actually higher than this, but in 2019, it was revealed that 84% of people involved in sales uh, stop following up after the second or the third try. Okay. So what does that mean? What it means is, we lose sales. Now, think about this. Have you ever thought about buying something? Have you ever thought of buying something, and then you go, and then the salesperson follows up with you, and then you cannot take the call, so you say, hey, you know what? Busy right now, and then you haven't talked to your wife or your husband, about really buying that, and you tell them, hey, you know what? I need to let my wife or my husband know that I'm going to buy this, right? Or I need to check with them first, or I need to do this. You give some sort of excuse because you're busy at that moment, or you're waiting for some money to come in, whatever the reason is. But you gave the salesperson an excuse, and they say, call me back next week, right? And then they never call, and then you're thinking, hey, I thought they were supposed to call, right? If you've ever experienced that, and we all have, okay? If you've ever experienced that, then you know that salespeople don't follow up consistently, effectively, and professionally. So you have to have a script on how you're going to follow up. You have to have a system of how you're going to follow up. Okay. So this is what I mean when we talk about a system of sales. You got to have a very clear sales process internally or individually. Okay, the first step in my sales process is I reach out to the customer. The next step is I set an appointment, I set a Zoom discussion, I send information. The third step is I follow up on the second day or the third day, and then we do this, we do this. You need to have your sales process mapped out, okay, so that you know that at where your prospect is at each step, of your sales process. Now, number three is practice. Uh, there's a saying. There's two kinds of people. There's basically two kinds of people in the world. Okay, I read this probably about 15, 18 years ago. There's two kinds of people in the world: the spectators and the players. Right? Who makes more money? The players make more money. Okay. Uh, who gives them the money? It's the spectators, right? Now, let's say you're thinking about soccer, football, whatever the game is, and the audience or the fans, right? The spectator fans is watching the game, whether they're in the stadium or the auditorium or the courts. Think of that. If you've never been to a game, and don't go now, but if you've ever watched a movie with a game, you see all the spectators, right? Watching the players, playing the sport, right? So ask yourself these couple questions: Who gets paid more, the players or the spectators? Okay, who is more famous, the 10 or 12 or 5 or 6 on each team playing the game, or the thousands and thousands of spectators? Who critiques the game more? Who is like, oh, you're useless and you should have done this and you should have done that? And who talks about it more? The spectators, not the players, right? Who gets paid more? The players. But here's the thing is who practices and trains more? The players. If you want to be a player, you must practice. You cannot practice in front of your clients. You cannot like, hey, I got a prospect here. I'm going to practice this line on them. All right? You can try and perfect it, but don't try something that you've never. You see, if you've never practiced when you're not in front of a prospect, don't practice in front of them. And you know, in 20 years, I've met so many sales people and sales professionals. The difference is the sales people make less money, bitch more, whine more, complain more, want to stop work at 5 p.m. They want their weekends off to relax from the stress of not making money. Sales professionals are sales professionals 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If they stop work at 5, it's not because it's 5 p.m. I got to stop work. They stop work because their work is finished for that day. It might finish at 3 p.m. It might finish at 9 p.m., but they stop work when it finishes. If things need to be done on Saturday, they'll get it done on Saturday because they know that they'll earn a better revenue, they'll earn a better income so they can spend more time with their family when they have more income. Okay? I'm not saying ignore your family. I'm not saying don't relax on the weekends. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is get the work done. Get the work done and you can relax with, security and peace of mind. All right. So what do I mean when I say practice? Remember earlier I talked about scripts. I talked about the cold calling scripts, the lead generation, the follow up scripts. I talked about handling objection scripts, the closing skills. In fact, handling objection is very interesting. Um, if I were to ask you now, if I were to ask you now, hey, how do you answer? I'm not interested. The price is too high. Give me some time. Budget's not there. Check with my wife. Check with my boss. Check with my husband. My cousin does this. If I'm going to buy, I'm going to get from him. How many times have you heard that? You know what is the normal response? We have two normal responses. The average salespeople have two responses. The first response is, "Oh, okay," and then they go away. The second response is, "What if I lower the price for you? What if I lower the price?" So then you become a price seller. Okay, and a lot of average salespeople think that price is so important. We have to be the cheapest. We have to be the cheapest. We got to give a good discount. No, why don't you do your job, and instead of saying I'm going to lower the price, I'm going to give more value. Give more value. All right. You see, if price was really an issue, there would be no first class and business class on the planes. There would be no luxury cars. There would be no Lexus or Mercedes or Jaguars. Nobody would buy those unless you got a discount and it was a cheaper car. But do we buy things just because they're cheap? Now, I'm not saying because the price is higher, there's more quality. What I'm saying, we're focusing only on the price thing. All right. If price was really an issue all the time, think about the things that you've bought over even the last 3 years to 5 years. Think of the things that you bought. Did you always buy the cheapest one? Okay, think about that. All right. So, how do you handle those objections? We've identified that there's an average of 7 to 12 natural objections in any business, in any industry, for any product or service. Um, let's say you sell insurance. Let's say you sell equipment. You're gonna get you get the objections will be a little bit different, But they're going to say the price is too high. You're going to say the price is too high whether you sell insurance, lollipops, medical equipment, industrial equipment, party planning. You're going to hear the price is too high. All right. So there's 7 to 12 categories of objections. We expanded it out to about 32. So with 32 objections, what you need to do is you need to come up with the responses to those objections. For example, for price objections responses, we've come up with 42 responses. Okay, I wrote that manual in 2006, 2007, and I still practice those every single day. Okay, if I'm the guy that wrote it and I practice it every day, should you not? Because it's your job, it's your profession, it's your life, right? So you got to practice. I'm not saying practice for 10 hours a day. I'm saying when you start out, you got to practice a little bit more. Then every day, every morning or every evening, practice a little bit. Practice for 10 or 15 minutes. Practice. I understand that you're not really interested right now. Could you share with me what are some of the factors that, and I'm making it a little bit higher end. You would actually use your own words in this, right? So can you share with me why you think that the price is too high? Maybe is the term too long, or is the monthly payment too high? These are the responses that you got to have, right? And the only way that you would have it is if you practice. Now, let me ask you a question, and I want you to answer this in your mind, okay? Does practice make perfect? Hmm. We've heard this since we were, you know, kids, right? Practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. But let me ask you this: does practice really make perfect? You see, my opinion of this is the people that say practice makes perfect, they're saying it wrong. Because if you're practicing it wrong, then you're going to perform it wrong. So practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. If you practice wrong, you're going to get wrong. If you practice right, you're going to get right. So make it a perfect practice. All right. If you do it the right way in practice, you're going to do it the right way when you're in front of a prospect and a client. But it needs to come as second nature, and it needs to come as part of you, as part of your vocabulary, as part of the way that you think, as part of the psyche that you have. And all of this builds into confidence, doesn't it? Okay. So we talked about the scripts, the system of sales, and practice. Okay. Then we go into a couple skill sets. Couple skill sets. Very very important is this one, lead generation. If you think of your sales process, and every part has, you know, there's steps at every juncture, and it ends with the sale, right? What does it start with? It starts with the prospecting and the lead generation. Okay, so lead generation, we got to have two things and two things in mind. All right, the first two things is that the company, the company organization should generate leads for the sales reps, the sales team. But the company cannot be the only one generating the leads. The individual rep themselves have to generate the leads, the appointments for themselves. Because if you rely on your company, what if the company didn't get any leads this month? You have to feed yourself, right? I hope that makes sense. So you got to do your own prospecting, your own lead generation. Then from there we go into two subsets. The first subset is online. The second is offline. Did you know, like more than 15 years ago, we didn't use Facebook, SEO, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, all those things to generate leads? The reason we didn't use those things to generate leads is because they didn't really exist, or they were in their infancy at that time. So if you're a new salesperson, if you're a younger salesperson, I want you to look for an older or more mature salesperson that's been in the game, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is, and ask them, "Hey, Chris, how did you generate leads? How did you find prospects? Um, when there was no Facebook, no Twitter, all these things. How did you do it?" Okay, what we did was we cold call, we did hard advertising in newspapers, classifieds, magazines. um, we were really good at getting people to, in the call to action, to get them to take action, whether to fill in the form and mail it in, fill in the form and fax it in, or give us a straight call. You got to have the call to action. All right. We use networking. We got referrals. We talk to relatives. Here's think about this. All right. Whatever business that you're in, your relatives should know the business that you're in. I'm not saying sell them, but at least tell them, hey, auntie, uncle, cousin, whoever it is, right? This is what I'm doing. Da da da. Okay. Sounds like you're pitching yourself, right? Now, think about this. Have you ever had this experience or know one of your coworkers that have this experience? It's like, hey, auntie, let's say you're a real estate professional, right? Hey, auntie, um, I'm in real estate. If you're thinking of like investing in condo, da da da. Hey, you know what? I already bought 2 months ago, or I already bought last week, already signed the papers 2 weeks ago. Then it's like, whoa, I'm in properties and you didn't get from me. Hey, I never knew you were in properties. Okay, if you've ever experienced that, it's not their fault they didn't buy from you. It's your fault you didn't help them buy. It's your fault. Okay, so now for the online, we got social media, we got digital platforms, we got social media ads, right? All of these, yeah, all of these are a skill set in all of these are a skill set just by themselves. Okay, you got to learn how to do it. You got to test. You got to have your funnel. You got to have your ad and your graphics. You got to have all those things. You need to get, if you don't if you think that you cannot get good at it, get get basic at it. All right, because being basic is so much better than just not being able to do it. Right? Does that make sense? Okay. So let's get into the mindset. Okay, the mindset. If you're in management, if you own the company, you play a part. Okay, your reps play a part in this as well. Okay, that we need to make sure on a couple things. The first thing that we need to make sure of is they need to be clear on the vision. They need to be clear on the vision of the company, the management, and they need to be clear on the vision of themselves. All right? They need to get clear on the goals. They need to be very clear on what are the company goals, the management goals, need to be very clear on what their own goals are. All right? So, how do you find their motivation? A lot of people say, oh, salespeople, sales professionals motivated by money. Um, I think that's very incorrect. All right. For me, some people say, hey, Chris, you're motivated by money. It's not so much that I'm motivated by money. I'm more motivated by what I can do with the money because I believe that money gives us choices, right? Money gives us a choice of the kind of clothes that we wear, the watches that we use, where we live, the kind of cars that we drive, where we send our kids to school, things like that. Money gives us choices. So let's say we talk about school. There's hundreds of schools wherever your area is, right? There's hundreds of schools. So you should make your choice on the schools, not on the fees are this much, the tuition is this much. You should make your choice on this is the education that my child is going to get, my son or my daughter is going to get. This is the kind of value they're going to get. This is, you know, things like that. Don't make. Yes, I'm not saying the price is not going to be a factor. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is don't let the price decide what you're going to get. Okay. So, the kinds of motivation that we have, well, I'll call it this. You see, what we're talking about is how we're going to re-energize the sales team. You re-energize the sales team by giving them a small reward, a big reward, and making sure that they know that the management or the company is on their side. Okay, so how do we do this? I'll explain right now. So for the motivation, we got a few things. We got money. Some of us are motivated by money. Okay, some of us want recognition. Some of us want the public acknowledgement. Okay, some of us want to be recognized in front of our peers, in front of everybody. Some of us are motivated by how we can take care of our family. Uh, some of us are motivated by um, where can we go on vacation, right? Some of us are motivated by, a combination of these things. If you want to energize your sales team, what you have to do is you have to figure out for every individual on your sales team what exactly motivates them. Are they more motivated by money, or are they motivated by recognition, or are they motivated by working and providing for their family? um, it's all these things. So you got to figure out your sales team, because if, let's say, if a lot of managers and companies think that my sales team should be motivated by money, and yes, if, let's say, you throw out a $5,000 bonus prize, everyone's going to get excited. But day after day in the contest, when you're hitting the grind, when you're getting the objections, when you're getting the rejections, is that $5,000 going to still keep you on track? All right. So think about this: what keeps you on track? All right. So, like I said, a lot of management think that we just throw out the 5,000, and then they find that, hey, you know what? Some of them perform and some of them don't, and then they think to themselves, why? We're giving them a fantastic bonus. They like the money, but it's not really what motivates them. So you got to know what motivates the individuals on your team. You have to know what motivates the individuals on your team and your team as a whole. Okay. So when I say the small rewards and big rewards, like the example, the 5,000 bonus, 1,000, whatever it is, right? Um, you got to have the right carrot so that they will want to move forward. All right. Uh, let's see. Okay, so here's how you as a company. Here's how you show that you will support them. Okay, they need to feel that management is on their side. It's all, I remember I worked in a place when I was younger. Every time I brought a deal to the manager, I was always like, "Why is this? Why is this? Why are you doing this?" And I said, I gave that extra thing so that we could close the deal and we could get a client. Oh, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. We don't usually give these things away. Then it became like every time I brought a deal where where I'm supposed to be rewarded, every time I brought a deal to the manager, it was like I was getting a scolding. And then it made me like, why should I bring deals? You know, if I don't bring deals, nobody bothers me. If I bring a deal, I get a scolding. How do you think I perform for the remaining 1 to 2 months in that organization? Not very well. Not very well. Okay. So the salesperson has to feel and has to know that management and their leaders are on their side. So how do you do that? You encourage them. You provide them training. You provide them incentives to perform. And there's actually two things we can do. And very few sales teams do this. We all lose deals, right? We all lose deals um, every day, once a week, a few times a week. Okay. When you lose a deal, and then we think to ourselves, hey, how did I lose that deal? I don't even understand. What you should do is you should coworker, get your coworker to step in. If okay, there's two ways to step in. One is when you blow the deal and you got nothing there, right? And that one is called a second voice. You you can use a second voice for two things, but I'll explain that in just a minute. You turn over. You turn the deal over to another person to let them take another shot at it. It's like, you know what? They're saying no to me. Here, you go talk to them. You turn it over. And how you arrange it with your coworker on the commission, the reward, that's up to you. What I normally suggest is a 50-50. Okay? So turn over. Um, Maybe they didn't like the way that you looked. Maybe they didn't like the way that you sound. Maybe you said just one thing wrong in a meeting that you had, 2 weeks ago or last week. You said something wrong, and then they went, I don't know if I like this guy, right? So you turn it over to somebody else. Now, the second voice is two. There's two ways to use it. The first way is when you close the deal. The second way is when you don't close the deal. Here's what happens. The first way when you don't close when you close the deal, your manager should come in. They should you should introduce your manager, or the manager introduces themselves and say, "Hey Chris, my name is John from XYZ company. Alex is the rep that is assisting you on this whole program. I just want to let you know that we're all behind Alex, and we're all here to support you, Chris. And here's my name, here's my contact info. Please reach me at any time." And then think about this: your salesperson, your team member believes and knows that my team leader is on my side. Your client and your prospect knows that your management is on your side. Okay, your management is on your side, and you see, sometimes people have what's called buyer's remorse. That means they bought something and then they're like, oh no, did I make the right decision? We've all had this, right? You went into a shop, you bought a car, whatever it is, you paid for it, and then you drove off or you walked out, and then, oh man, did I make the right decision, right? This phenomenon is called the buyer's remorse. All right, and sometimes deals unwind because of buyer's remorse. So what you should do is you should always, congratulate the prospect for making the decision. But sometimes more effective is when the manager does that for you. Okay. Now, the second voice can also be used when you don't close a deal. And then, when you don't close a deal, we want to say, why aren't you buying? Was the price not good enough? Did I do something wrong? You see, the second voice comes in, and it becomes like a feedback. So your manager calls a prospect. Hey, John, this is Chris. I'm Alex's manager. Hey, I just want to ask you a question. I hope you can help me out. Alex was saying that, the product was right for you, the price was right, and, whatever the preamble is, right? And basically, I wanted to ask you, why didn't you buy from us? Because, we want to improve, we want to get better, we don't want to let anybody down. So, let me answer this: why didn't you get this from us? And then, because you're coming in as the second voice, as the manager, and you're acknowledging that the deal didn't go through, the defenses go down, and you'll hear the real reason. So whatever the real reason is, oh yeah, you know what? I just didn't like his face. Okay, or you know what? The pricing was a little off. He didn't just tweak it a little bit for me, or I wanted this additional and I didn't get it. Then the second voice can address those problems. Okay, when we talk about skill set and mindset, we cannot just talk about it. We have to do things to implement and get things done. All right. Um, we talk about the skills that we need to have as professionals. We need to have a certain set of skills. We need to have a certain kind of mindset. All right. We need these two things together. It used to be that selling was like was like the only thing you could do, the only job you could get if you couldn't get any other job, right? I think those days are gone, or they should be gone. But if you're in sales now because you couldn't get any other job, if you're going to do a job and you're supposed to take care of your family, supposed to take care of your responsibilities, then do the best that you can. All right. So we talked about the skill set, the mindset. We talked about uh, the things that you do for the skill set, the things that you do for the for the mindset. Okay. I want to let you know about a program that we're doing in March. It's not ready for you to buy yet. Just so that you know, we are doing a very intense sales mastery and excellence. It's a whole day program. It's going to cover all the skill sets that you need, in order for you to have a higher probability of being successful. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I'm going to guarantee that you're going to be a millionaire in 10 days, or, all that other BS that you hear, from, on the internet. Um, but I'll announce that probably in a few weeks once we finalize the details. It's going to be pretty intense, but it's going to arm you with the skills that you need. All right. Uh, but anyway, I'll go through those details at a later date. We've come to the end of our session for this morning. This is our first webinar for 2021. We're doing it on a Sunday because New Year was on a Friday. We're doing a series of 12. This is number five. This is number five, session five of 12. And I wanted to keep the consistency of doing one webinar a week. And most of our webinars are on Friday, and that's why I postponed Fridays to Sunday today, um, because I wanted the continuity and the habit of still doing one on in this series one webinar a week. All right. So we've come to the end of our session here this morning. I want to thank you for listening to me, watching, and my sincere hope is that you take this information and you take it and you apply it and you implement it. All right. So if I haven't wished you Happy New Year, I want to wish everyone Happy New Year. Uh, I'm looking forward to 2021 because I know that we've implemented things that will take fruit, and I hope the same thing for you as well. All right. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you on a future session. Take care.